Moin Genossen, welcome to my Transport Fever 2 Let's Play, and today we have a lot of stuff to do, so let's go right ahead, shall we? First of all, our little Bergbahn does need some more trains, don't it? Yeah, that did seem better, doesn't it? So my project for today is to get the other good that TMR requires, which is machines. The problem is that machines are an entirely different goods line, which is very complex. First of all, we need iron, and since we already have a steel mill hooked up to a network, let's use that one, shall we? All it needs is coal, so let's start with that one. As you already saw, I ended up connecting a coal mine that was very close to the iron mine. The only problem was that I couldn't get the junction to work just right on that one, since you know, switches and bridges don't mix very well. But in the end, I think it worked out very good, and I even took it as a thumbnail of this video. The problem is that we need to work down the mountain again. And the problem also is that the station is elevated a little bit and we have less space, so it's going to be hard to use up all of that height on the way down. In the end, I decided to build a bridge instead of a very sharp turnaround in front of the coal station, but this was the easy track. The track on the bypass line was already lower to the ground. Now we need to connect the higher track, which is connected to the elevated station. In the end, I decided to build a large turnaround and made the tracks go over each other, because that would allow us to build more track, which would allow us to burn off more of the height. Last thing to do was to create the line. I named it Coal Train Korbach. Sadly, it will run empty on the way back. At first I only bought 2 new trains, but in the end I decided to go for 4 since I already have 4 going on the iron line. The problem was that I forgot to place signals, and since I just bought 4 trains, they were going to clog up the line, so I quickly added that back in. Sadly I was in the red, so I had to take out another loan, but I quickly was able to pay it back. With the coal line sorted, I started on the creation of the steel line that would eventually transport the steel to the machine factory. This was also the point where I couldn't deal with it anymore and had to add a second depot. I only created a single track for the station and used a double slip switch feature to keep it more compact. Then I started to add a second platform and track to the steel mill station, since if the production would ever have a shortage, the steel train would otherwise clog up the line. I then created the line and I named it Steel Train Barrel, since of course the machine factory is in Barrel. As a color, I went for the blue that's also used for the steel beams in the game. Since the date had already progressed 5 years, I looked to see if there was a better engine available, but in the end I decided to go for the same engine that I already use on all my other lines. I painted the flat car grey because I thought it looked best in the color, and because it isn't important to see what cargo is in it, because of course it's an open car. I then added a second platform to the machines factory, since I of course would need to deliver the machines somewhere else with a train. I had trouble connecting the track to the main line, so I decided to delete the road and build a bridge later on. I had a bit of trouble building the bridge at first, but in the end I fit it in and I think it looks quite neat. Since I don't think there will be a better opportunity later in the episode, I'd like to mention that the song you're hearing right now is my favorite song in Transport Fever 2, and it isn't even in the main game, just the campaign, and just one mission in the campaign and that. I'm considering the main game to be free play, by the way, since let's be honest, it's what everybody plays. So the only thing we're missing to build some machines are planks. Since there were no easy to connect sawmills or forest on the main line, I decided to go away from the main line and construct another station that would make the approach easier. The approach from the other station was way more difficult. At first I wanted to construct a tunnel, but I soon realized it would be way too expensive. So I saw this very nice pass, and while I knew it would be also very expensive to build through the pass, in the end I thought it would look the most scenic, so I decided to do that. I do have to say I'm a bit scared that Campagne will have a huge emissions problem from all the trains going through that pass, but maybe I'm going to end up building a tunnel later on. I built a bit out from the pass and then I decided to do a bit of terraforming around it, but the problem was I couldn't get it to work it right. Maybe later on I'll do a bit more beautification of the track, but right now I have bigger things to worry about. Then it was time to build the bridge over the river and I decided to go as low as possible since it would be the cheapest of course. I still wanted ships to be able to pass under it though, so it did cost me a bit of money. Afterwards I finished building Mountain Pass. Then it was time to connect up the forest to the sawmill. I decided to use trucks at first. I named the line Logs Truck Gentine and called it a nice dark brown color. I also created a line for the plank train and called it Planks Train Varel and called it a less dark brown. I again built a new depot and added another train which again was in the same configuration as the others. At first I added 9 trucks to the log route, but it definitely wasn't enough and I soon added way more. Even after quadrupling all the vehicles, it still wasn't a high enough rate for the train, so I bought a bit more. However, I forgot that logs to planks is a 2-to-1 ratio, so in the end I had to fix that. Since I also was going to be delivering machines to Emil, I decided to rework the truck route. For that I deleted the original bridge and decided to only keep the one I constructed afterwards, so that the truck stop could reach the station on the other side. I also activated the double slip feature on the switch and added a signal. Then I created the line Machine Train Sema, which would finally get the machines to Hema. I also constructed this truck stop in Hema for the machines and then I decided to add some trucks to the line. But before that I also constructed a truck line to Varel since it was very close by. I had a bit of trouble figuring out the white I used for the machines since they all look too similar. After I got the trucks up and running, I decided to finally buy the train delivering the machines, which I again used the same formula as all the other trains for. With the machines train finally rolling out, we've reached the end of the big time lapse. There's one smaller one coming, but we're almost done for the episode. This was the point when I realized that logs to planks was a 2-to-1 ratio and that I needed double the trucks that I already had. I completely lost it and just decided to completely get rid of all trucks, since, let's be honest, trains are the better option anyways. And with that I began work on this very short train line. The only difficult part was the bridge over the river, but other than that everything went very smoothly. I decided to replace that depot because it could easily serve both lines and look way better. Then I just simply created the line calling it Log Train Gentine and giving it the same brown color I gave the truck line before. Then I looked for a new engine with very low running costs because the line was so short that I only wanted to have a 70 km/h train on it. I very quickly decided to go for the G3 and I chose this British version since I thought it would go along the best with the other British trains I have running on my lines. This one cheap train had way more throughput than all of the 40 trucks that I put on the other lines, so I ended up selling them right away. And so we finally completed all of the lines necessary to create machines. Let's watch them get loaded up on the truck and the train, shall we? So let's end on this very nice panning shot. I think we've done a lot today. Have a very nice rest of your day, enjoy yourself. This is me signing off. Goodbye.